Hello and welcome to this product domain session as part of the buildingSMART International Summit, Singapore 2025. Thank you for joining us today. My name is John Proctor and I am your moderator. Details of today's session are on the screen. We will be hearing from Product Domain Steering Committee members Hanswali and Magda on digitization for product manufacturers. Session is scheduled to last for 90 minutes, including time for questions as we go through and at the end. The session is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section. Before I hand over to Hanswali and Magda, I'd like to remind you that this is a hybrid event. If you're online, your microphones will remain muted. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please use the chat box in the control panel and I will prompt you to do so. We have a couple of questions that came in the earlier session from Dan, and we will be addressing those. For the attendees here in the room, please keep background noise to a minimum. And if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please raise your hand and use a microphone. I'd also like to bring to your attention the information on the screen now. buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and that standards that are developed do not favour any particular provider, but are open, non-binding and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. With that, I'm going to hand to Hanswali and Magda.
Thank you very much, John. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon from Singapore. We have this third session of the product domain this afternoon about the connection between buildingSMART standards and the product data in BIM models. Explicitly, the Digital Product Passport is a collaborative presentation by the members of the product domain. We have, first of all, Espen Schulze, who is not here in person today, but he delivered a lot of input about the standardization. He is convener of a working group in the CEN-TC 442. He is really in charge of standardization of the Digital Product Passport. Present will be Magda and myself. She will introduce herself later on when she is presenting her part. My name is Hanswali Schmid. I'm from Lignum, the Swiss Wood Association. I'm a member of buildingSMART in Switzerland and also the product domain of buildingSMART International. We are an association, and in this role, we try to have solutions for our members, small businesses, which for them is a very big challenge to fulfill all those requirements, and we try to develop solutions for our members. What it is all about today is the Digital Product Passport is transforming the way how we deliver product information. So the manufacturer will become a part of the digital building planning. He will have to deliver his data in a totally different manner as today. We don't invent something new. We have actually the product data sheet as they exist. We have the common product standards, but what we're gonna change is we're gonna deliver the data in a structured way and in an interconnected way, and that has a lot of benefits. But why all this started? We saw it in the presentation this morning. It is a global challenge to reduce our resource consumption, our emission, and construction is certainly one of the biggest players in this field. If we only would calculate the CO2 emissions of this concrete and cement production, it will be on the 3rd place as a country on the world, even before India. And that shows the importance of construction and also the responsibility we have. That was then also transformed in the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, and on the European level in the EU Green Deal, which touches a lot of different elements, but one also the construction. And there we have now today a move from only the focus on the operational stage where everything has to be as efficient as possible, but also the whole life cycle, which includes the material to build buildings, but also the waste at the end of the life cycle. And that will also change the assessment of buildings. Today, in the European Construction Product Regulation, we have those 7 basic requirements. Some have been obligatory to declare, and some are now new. In the new revised construction product regulation, we have to deliver environmental data, and those data are a lot of numbers. We have to change the way how we exchange data. So it will be more data and more digital, and that will mean we have to develop solutions like the Digital Product Passport, which is a common framework in which we can deliver data, but also then process the data within the building model. That is the time, the roadmap, how this topic will be implemented. Until 2028, manufacturers will have to provide this data in this manner. Here is also a link to the regulation where all those details are described. And now I would like to hand over to Magda, which will go much more in detail.
Thank you, Hans-Ueli. So welcome everyone. Magda Pyszkowski, Knauf Insulation. I'm not sure if we have new people in the room than from the previous discussion, because probably there will be some kind of also repetition of information. So this is the slides of the Espen Schulz, who is part of the product domain and who asked us to represent him. So we'll do ourselves the best as we can. And myself, I will maybe give some flavor in terms from the product manufacturing point of view, as I'm representing Knauf Insulation, so the manufacturer of the mineral wool. So new construction product regulation. But do you know how old is the construction product regulation? Because we talk about new, but what is new? So the construction product regulation was established in 2011. And then it was live 2013, and apparently what was provided as the regulation to harmonize the standard for the product and to allow the product to be on the market, it was not good enough. So that's why we have the construction product regulation, new construction product regulation, with the implementation of the digitalization. So as we discussed during the 3 days, the data dictionary and also the standard that allows us to exchange information in the way that computers can understand. This is what I try always to explain to my colleagues, as we are not, as a manufacturing, we are not working in BIM. We are providing the data and products of our, the data of our products. Yes, so it should allow us to provide the products in the digitalized way, the product data information, and it should be also connected with something that you know probably on the product you have CE marking. This is something that we need to have to sell the product in Europe. What is? Okay, so this is I think the most important article that is concerning us. That we need to have this data in the interoperable way so that everybody can understand, so computers can understand, and we need to somehow connect to BIM. And this is something that we have discussed in the previous session, how to connect this world. And myself, I'm from the construction industry. I was working for more than 15 years in the construction industry, and then I switched to manufacturing. And when I switched to the manufacturing, I just understood that we have something that will allow us to connect. I said the data of our product is a connector, but how to do this? This is another way. So I will not repeat this because I think you have seen this 3 times already, so it doesn't make sense to repeat again the same slide. Okay, of course, it's connected with the Green Deal and also with the transition pathway for the construction. And we have the different standards that allow us to do this theoretically. This is something that I discovered to read when I was reading the slides of ESPEN, this Vienna Agreement. And for me, what was important to understand that those bodies, so the CEN and ISO, are the bodies that are representing different stakeholders. Because first, CEN is representing the European bodies, 33 countries, right? And ISO, I think, 170. And also, both of those organizations are working from the different domains. So ISO is mostly about construction. CEN is about construction, and ISO is mostly about manufacturing also. So it's the place that we can connect the dots between different stakeholders from the sector. And both of these organizations signed something that we call a Vienna Agreement, 2000. Somebody can help? 11? I'm not sure. 2019, probably. That allows to avoid the duplication of the work. And this is really great because if something is developed from one side, the second body can follow. And this is also doing the connection. So those bodies are working also in the BIM standardization to support the data dictionaries. And here, this is what, as a manufacturer, I understood that we have already some cross-domain work on the ISO 23386 and 23387, which concern our product data information. So the first one is about the data of our product in the metadata. The second one is about the data template. And the third one is a data dictionary. So this is something that we have already for us as a use. And this is the methodology that is still ongoing in terms of the development. One is the work items about the digital DOP. So DOP is declaration of the performance and conformity. And this is something that is changing in the context of digital product passport. Because today, what we know, digital product passport is our DOP plus something. And this something is now defined, is the ongoing definition. What should be this the additional information that we need to add? And then we have a guideline for the technical committees. And then there is something which is not delivered, digital EPD. So I'm not sure we'll talk about this later on. Yes, so we'll talk. Then this first standard that I said is delivered is really about properties. So the properties of something that we have already in our technical data sheet, but it's not numeric. So how we can describe the property and how we can translate in relation to the standards. And the second one is about data template. And this is something that we should somehow, what is proposed, deliver as a manufacturer. And this is something that probably could be done by the different organization, which combining the experts from the specific part of the sector. So I mean, if I'm installation, for example, we have association, which the name is URIMA, and could be, for example, in charge of the creation of data template for installation. It means also for me that this is collaboration. So in this, let's say, network, we should somehow collaborate what could be the data template for the product like installation or something else. And then those two standards give the direction for the technical committees how to create data template with object types and properties based on design and product standards. And I think so this is what we are showing. It's, let's say, very technical, and it's not something that it's obvious for the manufacturer. So somehow, if we discuss this, it should be somehow seen from the business perspective, how we implement this, not only from the standardization point of view, but also from the implementation.
That is now the task to implement it, and needs guidelines for companies like you, or whole associations, ideally European association who come together and try to do it once, but for all. So the importance of data dictionaries. Why we need data dictionaries actually, and why we cannot just describe it in our own language. This is the topic of the interoperability, and we have it here in this picture that we deliver the same property in different languages. The computer cannot interpret it immediately correctly. And with a common unique identifier, we can then exchange it from computer to computer. We have a common ontology, which programmers can rely on. And they can create algorithms with those identifiers. And no matter from where the data is coming, the algorithm can read it and can deliver results. The problem today is the standards are in human readable language, and this is good. We translated it, but now we have a new participant. Those are the algorithms, and they have other language. They are now so clever that they start to create their own identifier, actually. AI is doing that, but it's more in a probability and not 100% certainty. So now we have to transform the content of the standards in a machine readable way, so that we then can use it in the BIM models for algorithms. And that is actually the prerequisite for a digital product passport. So of course, for buildingSMART, we have a solution. We have the buildingSMART data dictionary. But it's not only this, it could be any dictionary in the world or in Europe. We heard it before, could be a European data dictionary. But the logic, the idea is coming from us. So, as an example, we would like now to focus, draw the attention to the environmental product declaration. This is an important new part of the information we want to share. And this is a label type 3 environmental label. And the topic is here that we have tables. We have like the life cycle with the modules, and we have the different impact indicators with the units. And so we can have for one property many different values for each life cycle. So that makes it twice as complicated. It's not more data, but it's actually a spreadsheet data format. I also want to deliver you this logic of the life cycle, how this is structured. I think it's important to understand this also for manufacturers. If we go out and talk with manufacturers, that we are on the same page about environmental product declaration, that we know how the data is structured. So this is the life cycle structure. And within the life cycle structure, we have then these modules. That means we split the life cycle in different stages where we then can have values of different environmental impacts. And in order to transform this data into a machine readable way, we need also a data dictionary, and that was actually done by ISO, the right place, the international place. So this is now the orientation for each digital product passport for construction products, but also for consumer products all over the world. And that means we speak the same language when we provide those data. And this is done with close liaisons of buildingSMART members and the standardization. It's not only, so also the standardization is buildingSMART. And that is the document. It comes with an additional Excel spreadsheet where the data dictionary is visible for everybody. But of course, normally it's in a database with the API. And then also we as an association, but as the product domain, also in collaboration with the Sustainability Strategic Group, we said we want to have this on the BSDD. Now we want to deliver some content which is helpful for everybody. So we have this, and yeah, you can access by yourself, but it's public. Still, we have feedbacks to the 22057 by introducing it here in this database. We saw some missing parts, and we gave feedback to the standardization body, and they will update it so that the next time will be the last question solved. That means we have many different information together with the DPP, but one will be certainly the environmental, the EPDs, the environmental data, everything based on data dictionaries. And we saw before the Vienna liaison, we coordinate with ISO and CEN, and everything has a logic in common and has close liaison with sometimes the same people working on both sides, ensuring that it will be not only something we have to deliver, but something which makes also sense. So this is the topic of the data dictionaries. I mentioned it before. It can be buildingSMART data dictionary, but many others. The question is, which dictionary has content, which dictionary has a quality, which dictionary is reliable. So maybe it's good there's a competition, and the one who delivers the best service will then be the chosen one, maybe for future applications. Of course, we can share data between dictionaries. We can map data between dictionaries. We have to map data because they will, in parallel, duplicates, same properties in different dictionaries. We have already existing classification systems. So there is actually a common understanding that this has to be done like that. And now I hand over to Magda. She will now show her perspective from a big company, and later on I will show what we do as an association of small companies.
This is also to wake you up, so that it's the last session of the day, so that you have also the changes of the voice. So please.
Yeah, we're just going to change slide packs at this point. If there are any questions for Magda or Hans Whaley so far, this is an opportunity to ask them.
The good one.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So this is not about standardization. This is how we operate today, what is important for us as a business. So it's totally different approach. I think it's important because when we talk only about standardization and regulation, this seems to be that everybody is in and everybody is doing what what we think, but it's not the case maybe. So that's why I provide this presentation. So I'm Magda Pyszkowski. As I said, I was working for the construction industry here in Singapore. It's Dragash Hong Kong, which was part of my previous group, Bouygues Construction. And 5 years ago, I decided to change the career path, and now I'm Knauf Insulation, representing manufacturing. As I said, for me, it was really great shift because I understood in this way that we can somehow connect the both sides, which is still not done yet, but I still have a hope. I am part of the Construction Product Europe since this year and heading the digital task group with Construction Product Europe. I'm part of buildingSMART Polska and also part of buildingSMART International Product Domain of Michel, and I'm part also of EURIMA Association for the manufacturers of insulation. And I think the data of product, it was something that I discovered when I did the second master on Sciences Po in France, and I said, okay, this will be something hype like data, and everybody will fight about the data, and this is the time, and this is really the time. And we provide some kind of a review in French with 2 colleagues about data and governance of the data, and I think I need to review this and with the new insights from the colleagues and from the organization that I'm part of. So I prepare for you a couple of slides. As I said, from the manufacturing point of view, and just to think that, you know, manufacturing in the world, what is the impact on the global economy? 16%. And what is the impact of the construction? 13%. So somehow we are both important, right? What we see as a manufacturer, that of course there is a shift thanks to the new technology that we can now use for our businesses, that there is a trend about sustainability regulation and CO2 impact, the decrease of the CO2, and somehow we need to run our business with these trends. That of course is BIM, building information modeling, management, whatever we can say, depending on the countries. And we somehow need to provide our data to our partners and our customers. We see different use cases. We see the IoT-enabled insulation solution. We see already AI-driven demand forecasting, blockchain. We see our competitors developing also different solutions based on this new technology. But what we see that also we need to somehow structure ourselves toward fully digitalized production, and also the expectation of our customers. And this is something that what we try to do. And of course, regulation, this is a pressure for us, but it's also an opportunity for us to change. So of course, this slide, you can see a lot of different businesses change because or thanks to technology, thanks to data. But I think what was important for them, what is common for them, that they put the technology on its core, that they utilize data as a valuable information, and they really understood the market demands and use the momentum. So for us, is the question also how we, as a Knauf Insulation, how we shift our way of doing the business, and how we can use this momentum and everything which is around. So here maybe on the right corner, this is what we are doing, just insulation, which is part of this room. Here you have acoustic, so you have a lot of insulation here. You don't see this, right? But this is what you specify, or you architects are specifying, that this is something that we deliver to the job site, and this is something that will stay in the different places as here or it's your home for many, many years. But what we see that our customers are changing, and we are not only delivering the product, but also we are delivering services, and we are changing our business to be part of their businesses. So what we see, for example, from the construction, that we are switching to the prefa offsite production, and somehow in the context of the prefa technology, we need to deliver not only our products, but also the data of our products. What we see also from the regulation, other than standardization, this CO2 emission. So we are already 2025. This slide I showed, I think, 3 years ago, that for the traditional masonry construction, this will be not working with the new regulation in terms of the CO2. And only wood frame construction will be fitting the goals of the CO2 emission by 2025. So we are here. So for us, what is important, that part of the construction, each construction, insulation is part of this. So we need to also rethink our insulation, optimize CO2, but also optimize the data and provide the correct data. So digital product passport, we talk about this. As I said, for me, it's really opportunity. It's not a threat, but it's opportunity, and somehow we need to use it. And it's a support for the innovation as well, and also for the market surveillance. And of course, it's European Green Deal, all of these goals that we want to achieve together in collaboration. And this is, I think, this place is the good place to discuss it. Yeah, we said this. I think we saw this slide about a new CPR revision. So for sure, it will be connected to the IT solution. And of course, today when we talk about standardization, we talk also about the different solutions that will be provided. And I think we need to talk about this in the correct way, and also say who will provide and how we will govern the data and solution. And I think this is also one of the topics to be discussed. And we also need to understand who provide the different recommendation in the different area of the competencies, and to be represented also that all of the voices are heard in the European Commission. Maybe it's too late, but I believe this is something that we need to consider. Yeah, so connection with the data dictionary, we talk, this is construction product regulation process. For us, it's important as insulation because you can see different priorities. So different part of the products are having the different priorities. We are priority, I don't know how I can use it, here, thermal insulation, and here, so 6 and 14. So we are quite concerned, and we know about this. So this is a good message, we know about this. And we need to do something with this, right? So this is so that's why it's really great to understand if buildingSMART and all of the parties involved can be the help for the manufacturers. Myself, I always believe, as I said, that was really the definition that from this product that you can see here, now be I think I closed, yeah. I can use it. Is it? Yeah, what? Okay, so this is our products that we have. We have also the boards. How we can go from the product like this to the job site and not only deliver the product, but also deliver the data. And I strongly believe that product information must come to the DPP and must come to BIM. Okay, it seems to be very easy, but this is something that we want to achieve. So those three standards that we saw in the ESPEN presentation are also here in my presentation. I show them to every single person that I meet if we discuss about this topics. And of course, it's about uniform language. Some of the people can find the definition. But saying this and using this is two different tasks. Saying, showing, and using is the two different things. And somehow, yeah, it's a work to be done. So, of course, data dictionary standardized product information for the interoperability. DPPs will provide essential product data for BIM systems or BIM assemblies. BIM integration relies on the structure and accessible data. And it will improve collaboration, lifecycle management, compliance, and efficiency. This is, I think, everybody understands that should be a case. So for us, I think as a manufacturer, we see the different benefits. But I want to see this mostly as a part of the process of the design and construction, and part of the process that we look together, how to decrease this emission, how to help to increase the efficiency of the projects. Because what are doing the construction companies? They are building the project. The project is built, the huge, like here in Singapore, to 3 years. If we can provide the data for in the specific time, for the specific use, then they can have the economies, they can save money, right? Money in terms of time, or in terms of redoing the work, and somehow we need to contribute. But also there are some kind of risk, and I think one of the risks is the really compliance challenges, how we do this. How we, the risk is really the task that we need to increase the data collection, and for what, for which use case. This is something that is not discussed yet. It could be the risk of market access restriction for non-compliance for some of us. It could be some competitive disadvantage for some of us. And this is for sure some kind of investment required now from the companies who want to go in this direction already. And this is what we see, because you need to structure the data, you need to train the people, you need to make them understand why we are doing this. So today, just to give you maybe some examples, ASEC now visualization. So we have, for example, DOP that is not standardized like we understand in the context of BIM, but we have, let's say, the digital access to our DOP, if you know the number. So you can find on our website that we are that we call DOPKey. But we have also the assemblies, and this is one of the tools that we are presenting. To provide the files for assemblies in BIM with IFC. So we did this work. We validate our IFC files, and it's not for installation; it's for the whole assembly. So for the walls, for the roofs, for the whole components, and you can find this on one of the tools that I'm showing you, and you can generate the data. But it's not standardized data, but it's in the format IFC that is already validated by buildingSMART. Tomorrow, it will be somehow digital product passport. This is just like a presentation what should be. And will be also connected to the BIM model. And we'll have all of the technical product information, sustainability, circularity, and of course, the manufacturer inventory information. And this is what we are working today. But we are here, right? And the regulation is coming in 2026. So it's still a huge work to be done. And I think from the gremium, as we see here on this presentation, of this conference, we need to also expect some kind of recommendation, collaboration between stakeholders, not discussion who is doing what, but really the support for the companies that will deliver DPP and will connect both worlds. Thank you.
Thank you, Magda. Thank you, Hans-Weli. So we're going to do a switch again back to the first slide pack. But this is, again, a good opportunity if there are any thoughts, comments, suggestions at this point in time. Yep, we have a question. Thanks, Hans-Weli.
Okay, I have two questions. First of all, you are in Construction Product Europe and the digital task group there. Are you to that committee in contact with Jens Sjøgren from Norway and what they do in the PDT Norway, the Product Data Template Group in Norway?
No, I'm not yet.
You need to turn it on. I think it's on the bottom somewhere. Yeah.
No, not yet. It's my first year as a Construction Product Europe members and digital task group. So this is, I hope, will come this year.
Because the product manufacturer of Norway, they started a couple of years ago to start to understand what it is. So they have joined in some kind of association, and they are building up this data dictionary with the data templates which the manufacturer can use. So it should be quite easy. But I know the discussions around this building up this data template, which properties and so on, is not an easy task. So I think it's quite useful to start early. And this might be something for buildingSMART also, if you have time and resources to do this, that you have the data dictionary, but sit down and just take one example, in insulation, for example, and try to establish a product data template for insulation. Could be an easy and useful training exercise to try to understand what actually this is about.
Exactly, and I think we
I have one more
this.
question, but and the second one is that you have this insulation. I have seen examples. I was on the closing plenary or meeting for the battery passport. They have done their work already. How they work with the data carriers. In the future, you should be able to scan your insulation and get access to. So do you start thinking about how should you put, what kind of technology do you put into this insulation so I can scan that in 30 years and know what this is? Have you starting that thinking?
Scanning is not a problem, because this is what we have already. Not for this use. It's for the how the supply, how the, for example, we have the product which is blowing wool. So this is the
yeah, but you have it on the but you need to have it on the insulation plate itself when the package is gone.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think this is not a problem with scanning QR code or whatever code, right? It's about the data, where it's stored and how it must be structured. And this is what we are working on. But this is, for me, it must be also somehow, as we said, connected with our customer, and our customers, depending on the stage, is the design, preliminary design, construction, and this is not done yet.
But maybe another input, we cannot put on every construction material a data carrier or a QR code. But what we can do, that's the digital building logbook. We have a digital twin, which is useful in the operation. We also have to continue to maintain the digital twin. And maybe in the future, maybe this automatic image recognition, but we are not at the end yet with the solutions.
Okay. My question would be for the product templates. Who should be in charge for these templates? Because what I see today is, we started, or some associations started to develop some templates. Maybe some huge companies started to develop some templates. By the end, we will have a huge mess, because we have, for the same products, we'll have 10 different templates, which is not helping at all. So what is the recommendation from regulator side? Who should be in charge for that?
Going to be a workshop here.
I haven't heard any recommendation. I think that is something the industry need to start discussing, I guess. This is the challenge of this construction industry.
There are a couple of initiatives, so they are something.
Lars has maybe an input.
Lars, but maybe I said also there is also one initiative that I didn't mention, which is Manufacturing Information Hub. This is something that they are starting, and this is manufacturers together. They want to have also the information hub. For me, the solution is by the end. Today we have our technical data sheet. We have DOP. We need to know which of the properties that must be also, integrated as for the compliance. But then the second question for me: when is needed for what this data is in the book? Regulation is one, and that's fine. But then we have a process, right? We build the buildings with our product, and on the beginning you need just maybe 1 or 2 properties, and that's it. And Lars has the response.
Been working on this for a couple of years. So first of all, if these standards are they are built to solve the problem that you just raised. So that means that when you first dive in working with these standards, you will discover that the questions you have will be answered. So you have to dig down, actually understand interconnected data dictionaries. When that has been said, my advice would be always to start on European level, or if you're in US, start on US level, to look at what is European, and that is more than just information in a standard. But starting on an association level, where the association take responsibility to organize work groups and governance, this is exactly what we've been doing with wood. And that means that in my data dictionary tool and in BSTD, those things are represented both places. But the governance is very important. It should be starting on European level, is my opinion, and then could go to national or company or whatever.
Thank you. So we are not finished yet with our presentation, right? But we have other questions.
Well, I'm new to this topic, so bear with me. I'm not sure that if this question is out of scope, but I just wonder, I'm coming from the infrastructure domain, and we don't kind of define the products in the early stage. We have just the kind of the requirements that whatever the requirements is, the future product will kind of meet those requirements. So how does that then work if we don't have, or we are not even allowed to define any specific products in the early stage?
Yeah, this is also our question. So, for example, when we deliver the assembly in BIM today, okay, we've not standardized data. We've just, as an assembly wall or roof, we do this in generic. So, okay, you have installation, that's it, and you don't know what is it even. And you have, as you said, requirement for the whole elements, but it doesn't make sense for anybody, right? It just so for me, we are just around the the main problem, how we can really support our customers with the data that they need, and the requirement for data, it's not coming to us. I don't receive any requirement for the data on the specific, because it's huge. What I don't like in the discussion that we said, okay, 2026, everybody needs to have digital product passport because it's the regulatory. Okay, but business is running, and we need to have the solution that is supporting the business from both sides.
Can I just try to answer Tina's question? If you, when you do this design phase, use the same defined properties in your design, defined in a dictionary, and they use the same property definition from the dictionary, you have the connection between your design. So then you have the properties you need in your design. You can put it on the market and ask if there is products out there meeting your requirement. But it needs to be connected to this dictionary, so the property definition is the same as the product definition are. This is we need to set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to bring in two, like there is product data template and product data sheet. And at Swiss Railways, for example, with our rail manufacturers, they have a harmonized standard, right? They to deliver the information. So we just take the sheet with the no values. So it's just an empty template, and we use it in a very early stage onwards. And once it's like the tender process and everything, and we get the rail, we can just fill in our product data template with the product data sheet, as long as we have the same understanding of the different properties. And that's why it's so important that the template is provided by the end product in the end. And if not, it's going to be a lot of manual tasks. Yeah.
Good.
We can continue because we have some
examples. The question of early planning stages and generic information. We will have also a look in my presentation. We saw that also already. So yeah, it will bring people together, and it brought us also together on in the wood industry on European level. We started to talk about how we can tackle this topic. It doesn't make sense really to do it in every country separately, and we have not so much budget, and we like to save money, and that's why we decided no, we work together. We do it once. We make a common data dictionary on the harmonized construction products in wood. And we did it with someone here in the room, where Lars helped us to do that, to go through the standards, pick out all the properties there are, without regard if they are necessary or not. We just do it because those properties have been already discussed, and I showed this already before. We had support of GoBuild, could be anybody else or someone in your company. Maybe other tools help us today to extract certain properties from a document. And then we had it in a first internal dictionary. We used it, we optimized it, and then we said the baby is born, ready to walk. We can put it on BSDD. We want to publish it as a first industry dictionary in the BSDD, anticipating the topic of digital product passport. And now we are very relaxed in the wood industry because we know we have the data dictionary, and as soon as we know what we need to deliver, we are able to rely on a common data dictionary. So once again, the process is we have some kind of standardization. Maybe this will be an integrative step in the future. The standard will automatically deliver a data dictionary by publishing a standard, not only in different language, but also machine readable dictionary. Now it's still the work of people who want to do this. And then we put it in some kind of data dictionary. So we have the printed document with the properties defined. Then we extract it. We have properties and units, give it GUIDs. Then from all those information, we start to select and put it on an empty template. That's a product data template. Then we start to fill in values. Then we have a digital product data sheet, and we give it an ID. And now we publish it on an open accessible API or other URI. Then it is a DPP. And as I explained to you before, this is the industry dictionary for wood, the first industry dictionary on the BSDD. It is still version 1 because we already optimized it before, as I said. Another picture, we kind of repeat ourselves, but sometimes it's good to repeat. This is a property selected for a template, and here is with values. It is the data sheet, and then we add a ID and a URI with the QR code. Then it is actually a kind of digital product passport. I don't know if could we switch now to the internet, to the website, because we have a kind of digital product catalog of generic products in wood. And as we have so many small businesses, we need to have a solution which will be allow small businesses to create a data dictionary.
Your website.
A digital product passport. Yeah, I can move. Yeah.
I'll just put it up on the general screen.
Yeah. And there's the question maybe from generic, which we have in early planning stages, and then switch to a more specific one in the same language and data structure. Yes. So we have components, but I would like to move now to the products. Even we have it in English. We have the product catalog for products in wood, but also associated materials like insulation. We have the product categories, and we have here the laminated beams, for example, in softwood. Oh, I wanted to finger jointed solid wood. So as soon as we glue a wood, it's another construction product, right? And here we have now a selection of specific, but also generic products. For example, here are many different companies listed which could deliver such a product, the glue laminated beam. We have here the detail view. Share this tab. Do I share the right one? Yes. So here's a generic representation of this type with the different companies, the different thickness of the product, the different strength grades and quality. So that would result already in many thousands of different products, expressions, because it could be also in different softwood species and locations. We then also mapped the physical information from the Swiss Architects Association, which already existed. We have also an already existing collection of environmental data, which we mapped with this generic product, where we then can, based on the dimension, calculate it down to the piece, to the impact of a piece of such a product. If we put the length of 1 meter, for example, we have it to the piece. Here we have also a link to the property in the BSDD. So we see here a property of, for example, primary energy. And we go to the BSDD, what primary energy actually means. I hope it works now. So yeah, exactly. So we had it in our German language, in our own expression, but here we now really see what this property actually means. We see it also that the ID, this is the unique ID, and that is the identifier. So someone who visits the first time this website could immediately identify this property based on a common data dictionary. And now the clue is that we can now finish the last specification. We can say this is a wood product of Schilliger company in Switzerland. The wood species is Abies alba. That is a common tree. It comes from Poland, actually. We imported this wood from Poland, for example. It's an industry quality, strength grade, and the dimensions are already mentioned, maybe a package of 100. And now I say, okay, this is now a product I produced. I generate a permanent link to this specification with this QR code. You can test it by yourself, and you will arrive on this same page. You will even have here also the link to the industry dictionary and see, okay, that's the glue laminated timber according to this standard here. So that was this quick example. Seeing is believing, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Very good. Excellent. Any questions for Hans Swerley on his use case example? Yeah, quick question. Thanks. I'll go back to the slide.
Oh,
yes,
is working. Well, I'm not going to question again on BSDD versus data templates, but I was triggered by your question about the data carrier. So, if in the future you would be there is a need mandatory that you have to put your carrier on such a thing, this will be on the packaging for sure. But after that, if you have a certain amount of a unit within that package of hundreds times, if you cannot put a carrier there, like we put on a washing machine, yeah, but on just such a building material, what are then the alternatives to do it? Location based, that we know it well. It's now there, so it must be. It has a link to the digital world via its location. If it cannot be a carrier.
I think that would be another separate session and presentation.
Yeah.
We don't have an idea, but we know already today with prefab, everything is identified, and on site you need to know which piece is it and where it belongs. So
you have to trace
it has how you say before, it is occurrence actually, not only a product.
Right.
So it is feasible, but we don't have to make construction more expensive. So we have to find easy and clever ways to do the same without
Right. Thank you.
overthinking and micromanagement. Good. Other question? Yeah.
This is the reason why I asked the question, because this is quite interesting. I've been on quite many meetings in the EU system, trying to understand what is this coming here, the regulation. And in many of the other industries, they have already dived into this. But in these meetings, they know no one from the constructions. If they're in, very few. And I think what I learned in Norway, for example, now they have a mirror committee for this JT74, all the industries, and you might learn from them. And I saw one example, just an example one showed me, but I don't know if but this, I know the English, but this one here should have a digital product passport. And it showed me solution. He took only the phone in, and then he had the digital product passport on this one. But what they're starting to discuss, do the Commission really mean to have it down there? Because the cost of this,
Yes,
on a T-shirt or so, a product that costs 10 euros, there will be 10 euros more because of so this kind of discussion will come, and then your industry need to be there. And also another example I heard, quite insulation maybe. They have this, when you take a cement, you have a package of cement with a QR code on, but you broke this package, take it and blend it to concrete. How do you know what batch of cement in there? You should know it. And they was experimenting and testing a new kind of technology, not RDF brick or something, but something else in there to try to test this. So there's a lot of innovation coming here, and my challenge to you is that you should be there, you should start the thinking on this, and you need to also start a discussion with the Commission, which is the right level.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Me and Magda, we go to the Commission and we tell them how to do it.
We can go.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, actually, that was the insight from the industry. Now I would like to mention some white papers, and then we see also an example of a more complex made-to-order product of a door, where we have types, and then you can configure the door, and then you have a DPP, and that will be also the end of the presentation. But now I would like to show the white papers. Thomas Glattli is also here from buildingSMART Switzerland. He was really the driving force to publish those white papers. We have now published 2 white papers, also translated in English. And we made also some visualization, which gives you a good overview, maybe also for your communication with partners to come to a common understanding, because often we want to achieve the same goal, but we have different words for the same thing, and there are many misunderstandings, and we try to give an overview about the regulation, what actually society wants to have, how is this regulated, and how the data is aggregated step by step. And we continuously try to improve. We all still learn and try to improve. We talked about already to update this one. Then we have a second one, which is going down from the general topic of product information to the digital product passport. Also, we just tried to figure out and discuss, and it was a good way to get a common understanding on and learn on the topic. Also here we tried to make some graphics. And the latest product from our association, we also translated it in English and published it for free. It is the application of BIM in the wood construction. It shows you a bit the specific needs in wood, and there we need even more to define things in early planning stage, because we're going to prefab the stuff and you cannot change it when it's on site. So it's too late, and we are only competitive because we are planning digital models, prefab, and if not, we would not be competitive. So a call for everybody, also online. Stay in contact with the product room, Michelle, and we all would be happy to exchange more. We saw it today; it was very interesting. It's the link to our domain. And now the last sample or video is provided also by a member of the product domain of Peter Fokun. He worked until the latest minute on the best solution of a door configurator, how to shows it is also possible for complex construction products to define specification, the latest details, and then also calculate environmental data and so on. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Hans Swaley. We'll show Petra's video of his example. Do you know how long the video runs for? 5 minutes. Did you want to say anything about AI? Well, we're just getting the video up and running.
Well, I think like the company of Magda, there are already. This is on the back. It's restart.
There you go.
Yeah. And my experience is if you have developed your template from a data dictionary and you have the PDF, you can use AI to map the things in the right column. So that helps a lot in the process if you have PDFs or not. But the best, of course, would be to have already a PIM, product information management system. But often I receive PDF and then, yeah, we have to do it that way. Workarounds and mapping different data dictionaries, certainly also a use of application of AI. You have any other idea of AI?
To be honest, I don't believe in PIM because this is creating a lot of non-conformity in terms of the data structure. In fact, what we see, so I don't know, but maybe in Switzerland is better, but it's not the case. So, but I think AI, it will be some good things maybe for us, because then you can read the standards and we need to read also the building codes, and maybe by doing the piloting we can somehow provide the properties I needed. When you combine this with also the standard for the tracking of the product properties. But this could be like a pilot to be done, and we need to have also some kind of also stakeholders that want to be part of this. You cannot do this by your own. It must be somebody who requests the information for specific needs. Then you can provide what is needed. So this is what I understand today, and maybe in a couple of months will be something different. But this is still very ongoing discovery.
That's great. Thank you for answering Dan's question online. York Online says, thank you for the seamless example from the wood industry. And we're going to conclude, unless there are any questions after this 5-minute video, with a video that Petra has put together on this particular use case and example. Yeah.
Welcome to our tutorial where we will show you how digital product passports can be created for made-to-order products. Our tool where we will specify interior door is provided by BIMproject.clot and by Lignum, a Swiss timber industry association. Let's create a new specification. The database contains several configurable doors that bear VSSM brand, which belong to an association of Swiss master carpenters and furniture manufacturers. Each product is an assembly with its own properties, for example, minimum and maximum dimensions or acoustic rating. We can also check origin of the database via a link. It comes from Lignum database. When we assign the product to our specification, we can see a 3D preview of the configuration. Now we can set the desired dimensions and check results in 3D. When we try to set the height too high, we receive a warning that the dimension has been limited by the product's properties. Most important part of the configuration are components. For interior doors we have door frame, door leaf and a handle. By default, there are already assigned products which has its own properties. The same principle is for door leaf. Since we chose a main product with full panel, options to choose a different panels are also limited. In this example, materials of each component are represented graphically also as components. For Swiss carpenters, we will be using an official Swiss material database called KBOB. Let's choose the most common material for this kind of door, oak wood. We can see that this material also has properties, in this case environmental ones, which we will use for our calculations. Let's choose a different type of oak wood for the door leaf. For the door handle, we have automatically assigned aluminium. Let's name our specification before we make the export. Now let's see how calculations of environmental properties work. We will see its results in PDF export. The configuration is automatically saved before the export, so it will get new unique ID with new specification version. What we got is a digital product passport exported to PDF. It contains a unique ID of the specification which is embedded to the QR code, so we can get back to it anytime in future. On the next page, we can see overview of the final product, including summaries of CO2 emissions and other environmental properties. These values are additions from each of the component. For the door frame, our tool calculated the amount of volume and weight of the specified wood. The same formula goes for door leaf, but here we have a different volume and weight and different type of wood. Handle is easier because we knew the weight from database. On the next page we can see values of the actual frame material we chose. Oak wood from Switzerland. You can see that all properties have units per kilogram here. Let's make another configuration to compare results. This time we will use kiln-dried type of wood. Now we will make another PDF export for the same project. When we compare the two results, we can see that most of the values are actually higher. That's probably because air-dried wood creates less emissions than kiln-dried. With this tool we can make any configuration we want. We can get door with glazed panel or with double leaf. We can save these as a different type for later. This action will create a new specification with version 1. Then we can see all our specifications on the dashboard. For architects, it is also possible to directly create a BIM object for Archicad or Revit. To generate the BIM object, we must open a project in Archicad or Revit with installed BIMproject.claude plugin. Then the Lignum tool automatically connects, and we can create new BIM object or update existing one. It contains all geometric data and also basic properties. This tool including the BIM plugin is free. When you try it, we will appreciate your feedback. Thank you for watching.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much. That concludes the presentation today from Magda and Hans Swaley on behalf of Product Domain Steering Committee. Are there some further questions and comments? I think there are, so we'll come and take them.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation of these 2 days. I have a question for I think more or less all of you, which is a comment where the information is linked in IFC. So, what is a product in any IFC? I think this is very difficult from my perspective, which I used to work in industry and now the university, because it's very difficult to if the information about insulation is linked to a material, because material in IFC nowadays has is a very a big problem for maintaining it and maintaining the information. So maybe it could be an IFC building element part, but if it's an IFC building element part, we cannot compare in the early stage of the information. For the beams, could be the material or the beam itself. So every time we look at the material, we have to change the information container of the information about the products. And that's a mess. And I think we have to reply to users of BIM modeling about that one. What do you think?
I think the future is linked data. The logic is that the properties and the values are stored on one place, and you just put the link in the model. And actually, the model in the future should be able to access the API and take the values it needs by itself, and not importing everything in a model.
No, I agree. I agree totally. But the problem is that we cannot compare data from design to construction and installation if the container is changing, because actually you cannot. You have to maintain the same YD from different element, and it's very difficult. I mean, logically difficult, because in one time is a material, in the next stage is an IFC building element part. So it's changing the
This is true. That's now out of my daily business. So as head of CRB in Switzerland, what we recognize that what is missing in the area of classification, that we go really one step forward, that we get this kind of reliable and constant structure in the classification that goes really from a generic specification until the final product. And that all these kind of calculations you have to really to hook them into this classification structure. And that is not IFC or whatever, it's really that you need one constant during the whole life cycle. And that is most probably then really the job of a standardization organization, where we do it now locally. But on the other hand, it can not be IFC or something like this, because it is about classification. I think also classification systems are the same way.
These solve a lot of problems, but I don't think all of them, because sometimes a product in the construction site is the sum of two materials. So I mean, it's so how do you define two gypsum board together? The construction how can I say, company will take these as a package, take two of them, but the furnishing part, so who's selling it, take two of them. So it's a huge problem, which is not well discussed, in my opinion, even in the perspective of data templates and wherever. Well, I think this is the European, Italian specific perspective.
No, I think it's absolutely true. So one part of my answer would be, well, we will never solve all problems, unfortunately. Oh, never. In long-term future, eventually. And on the other hand, it's really, if you get this kind of constant classification, then at least you're also able to classify kind of system. And that is the problem we have really in building construction. And by the way, a lot of people do not yet recognize that we start to specify a wall and we calculate on the wall. And at the end of the day, we have plasterboards and insulation and whatever, and the specific materials and products are then again accumulated to another calculation. And that is an insecurity that will remain in the process, because if you do an EPD right at the beginning with a system wall, and at the end you calculate, and for example in Sweden I know you're not allowed to use your building if you don't meet the EPD. But the first calculation was on systems and not on the products. And I think there are still open issues, but on the other hand, that's my first statement, we will never solve all problems, but you have to start.
Yeah, just to add on that, it's also written without compromising BIM. At one point, the responsibility of the DPP issuer stops. It's with the digital product passport, and how the company implements it internally will vary. I mean, in our case at SBB, we work as a constant with sort of a logic object in the very early phases of the planning, and only at the very end, when we actually have the physical object, we create this link. And that leads, in our case, to have object libraries. And the object libraries, yeah, that takes a lot of time, but it's our way how we deal with this situation. But this will vary. Yeah. But just the responsibility, I think, from the DPP point of view, that really stops there. How we implement it, that's then another question.
Practice, it seems to be very, very different, and even for BIM, as we see. Myself, I was invited by the architecture offices and technical consultant offices in Greece, and we, as a manufacturers, we talk about BIM to them and explain how it works. And this is what I'm struggling, that we have a pressure to provide in digital way our data that can't be somehow not compromising BIM, and then the sector is not using. So, yeah. So where are the expectations and how the business can manage this, right?
Just no, I have it. I keep it by myself. Sorry for that. The fact is that I think what is worrying is that we cannot saying unless we have a new technology such as IFC5, because yesterday Leon speak about this part in IFC5, so technically could be better better solved. But I think that we have a problem in exchanging information between one phase and the other. That's like you said, Michel, it's not solved right now. And in specific industry like railways, it's good, but I think for buildings it's kind of a mess, and it solved that problem that you mentioned before. So in the design phase, you have a material, but then is a product in another phase, and maybe it's why we need interconnected data dictionaries, because we have to find out a way to do that, because if it's a interconnected data dictionary, I can use a property in the design phase which has been connected to the property in the construction phase, which is the same property, because we can say ontologically that is the same. But maybe we have to work on that in the product domain. I don't know.
Yes, please join. I think what is also important is a little bit was Magda quite often mentions is that the practical use and implementation industry is even another dimension. And then we have the problem on building and construction side. Building construction industry is very used to high regulation. They are quite fast about regulation. In a way, I understand this because it's a lot about responsibility and also a lot of money and risk, of course. And then in the environment of ISO 10 and buildingSMART, we have then the representatives from the building and construction industry that love standards and regulation. And there we have to become more pragmatic. In a sense, and it's also, for me, representing a standardization organization, learning to go for something that is feasible and that helps, and eventually there will be also other open issues. So my experience is really in this environment that if you show some kind of solution or some kind of way, you will always find people in this community who say, well, but this is not solved, and there is another problem, there is another issue. And as long as we are not a little bit more bold and just go a part of the way, we will never proceed. I think that's really so. It's this kind of connection. And once again, we need manufacturers in the product domain. So for this practical implementation use, what is feasible in the market? What can we run outside? And then we have to make these compromises and to show this pragmatism in standardization.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I didn't want to make the but person. Yes, but I don't.
I didn't understand you, Joe.
But since there is also Lorenzo here at buildingSMART Italy, we are struggling to take manufacturer on site, but it's kind of
let's work
more
on
than
together.
more than.
Let's invite them. Let's win them. It's really that I think that will be a major part of success if we really get them active, involved, and let us be pragmatic and really cooperate with them.
Which is a nice way to bring the product domain session 3 back to product domain session 1, I think, Michelle. We're on time because a couple of minutes over. It's been an excellent session, very interactive. Thanks to everyone in the room and for some questions online. If looking at Hans Swaley, Magda and Michelle, if we're happy to close, we'll close the session at this point. Yep, thanks to our presenters, Magda and Hans Swaley. Thanks to our contributors, Petra and Espen, and also to Oyvind and the team from SEN and ISO. Very interesting discussions in this session and the previous one on digital product passports and digitization generally for product manufacturers and for the industry. We will no doubt return to that topic again at the Product Domain Steering Committee.